Susan Rice, no stranger to controversy herself. This morning, though, she's coming out swinging at the Trump administration. She's speaking at a progressive conference at Georgetown University. Listen.
It seems that the current administration looks at the world and sees only threats. Immigrants, refugees, Muslims, Mexicans, even trade. It's America first and the rest of the world last.
Again, Susan Rice, the former national security advisor, with a lot to say about the current Trump administration. Joining us now, CNN political director David Chalian, who I believe is at that conference. David, I want to get to Susan Rice in just a moment, but first, the breaking news into CNN. We are going to hear from the national security advisor, H.R. McMaster. He will brief the press, we are now just learning, at 11:30. It's a lot sooner than we had previously thought, and he is doing it alone. We will only hear from H.R. McMaster in public. He will be the public face of the defense over stories that the president shared classified information with the Russians. What's the significance of this?
Well, first of all, the significance is, as you said, he will be alone. That was not what was originally advised on the White House schedule. It was that he was going to join Sean Spicer at the daily press briefing. We now won't see Sean Spicer on camera. So you are right. H.R. McMaster, as we saw last night in the White House driveway, John, is going to be the face of this. As you know, he was in the room, as he said last night, when this event happened of President Trump talking to the Russians. And his credibility is on the line right now. This is somebody who the president nominated to replace hired to replace Michael Flynn, I should say. Here is a guy who has tons of credibility in this town on both sides of the aisle, lots of military experience. But right now it's on the line because he is saying that what the Washington Post reported is not true, as his boss is tweeting this morning justifications for doing what he did and relaying this information to the Russians.
Yeah, obviously, the president making his job harder, giving a different explanation than H.R. McMaster did last night. But, David, you hit on a key point. H.R. McMaster, General McMaster, is someone held in the highest regard on Capitol Hill, most importantly, both sides of the aisle. You know, most Americans probably don't know who H.R. McMaster is. To what extent is a key audience here Republicans in Congress who have not lined up in support defending the president outwardly yet today?
John, you are right to keep your eye focused on that. The political fallout of this story, coupled with the Comey firing and other controversies in recent weeks, is watching the Republicans to see if their nervousness and hand-wringing turns into revolt. And you are right that McMaster getting out there to try to put this, tamper down this latest wildfire, is indeed aimed at keeping the president's party first and foremost on board. Because once the president's own party, if indeed there were to be real cracks that open up into real abandonment, that becomes a massive political problem for the president.
And, of course, we're talking about the Republicans. You were at a conference among progressive. We're hearing from Democrats today. Do Democrats know, David, what to do with this? Do they have a coherent strategy?
I'm not getting the sense of a fully coherent strategy yet. You get some sense of a strategy from Chuck Schumer and what he wants to do with the Senate Democrats on the Hill. You saw Nancy Pelosi in our town hall last night calling this very sloppy, what President Trump has been up to. And in fact, as you noted, this conference here, it's a sort of cattle call, the first looking at the next generation of potential 2020 presidential candidates for the Democratic Party. And one person we heard from this morning, Eric Garcetti, the mayor of Los Angeles, was very deliberate to say that being the party that's just the opposition to Trump is not sufficient. And that is really interesting because, you know, the grassroots is sort of living on energy of pure opposition to Trump right now. What these leaders say is not necessarily just a series of speeches of Trump bashing. They're also trying to deal with some of the flaws in their own party that were exposed last November and paint the path forward for the Democrats.
There's a good chance the next Democratic nominee will speak in that building sometime today, just because there are so many that are speaking. David Chalian, great to hear from you. Thank you very, very much. CNN's got a really